to Friday Night Prepper Pre-Party Show. I'm your host, Sarge. Hope everybody's having a good night. We're going to give people a couple minutes here to get notifications out and see if anybody pops in. See if I can get some chat going here. And in the meantime, I'll get some notifications going myself here. To my usual places. How's your week going, everybody? If you're watching this on replay, you probably can fast forward a couple minutes. Usually takes a couple minutes for people to kind of get in and get things started. And if you're brand new to the channel, what we talk about here is all things preparedness. I tend to focus a little bit more on mental health aspects of preparedness. Hey Wayne, it's good to see you. Appreciate you. You're the first one here, I think. I tend to focus more on the mental health aspects of preparedness, dabble a little bit into food preparedness like foraging and gardening, that kind of thing. Some financial preparedness. We do that as well. And, storm prep, all those other things that a good prepping channel should be covering. Bear with me here, guys. Just trying to get some notifications out to a few people. There we go. All right. I think we got it. Just want to make sure I can get the chat going so I can see what y'all are saying because I'm doing this on the phone. So a couple weeks ago was the last time I went live, and strangely enough, if you go back and watch that one, I made multiple predictions in there, and as it turned out, I'm actually better at predicting what's going to happen than Nostradamus, because pretty much everything that I said was going to happen happened, and within the timeline that I said was going to happen. The one thing I'm going to caveat on was I had said something about how Kamala, that there'll be backlash if Kamala is the chosen candidate because she helped cover for Joe's cognitive decline. And people don't usually like it if you are, gaslighting the public and lying to the public, which is exactly what was happening. Was they kept saying, Joe's fine, Joe's fine. Well, we know Joe wasn't fine. Like, that was pretty obvious with the debate. And so I said that I didn't think that she would be the right candidate because I figured there'd be a lot of public backlash based on that. But it turns out people don't really care, And I'm just moving a few things around. One of the members of the audience, I think it was Homestead Engineering, had commented something like that, like people aren't going to care. And turns out they were right. Homestead Engineering, my apologies, you are right. People are very apathetic about it. They don't seem to care. We'll see how this thing plays out. I will say this: if you're a Democrat, you're probably a lot more happy today than you were a few weeks ago, because Joe really had no chance of winning. The further this thing went along, and especially if there was a second debate, he had zero chance of winning. You got to be honest about that. And I had some friends who were like defending, oh, I think he's fine or whatever, right? On Facebook, a few of my friends were commenting that. Well, I think y'all owe me an apology because I said that, there's better candidates out there for your party. And turns out, once again, I was right, because your party is now polling significantly higher than it was a few weeks ago. So I will accept your apology in the form of a public apology on Facebook. You know who you are. All right, let's get to your chat here, folks. Good. I hope you guys are having a good Friday. It's good to see everybody. Michelle, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you. Angie, thank you so much. Southern Tier Prepper, Rural 2IC. Lee, it's good to see you. Yeah, everybody, if you get anything out of value out of this, or if I entertain you in any way, just give me a thumbs up. If you absolutely hate me, that's okay. Give me a thumbs down. Either way, it helps us with the engagement. I've got one video out there that's got a ton of thumbs down. People didn't like something that I did in there, and it got a ton of engagement. So, if you don't like me, give me a thumbs down. I appreciate that. We only have a couple rules here on this channel. Don't be racist. Don't be sexist. Other than that, Be kind to each other in chat. If you disagree with something I'm saying, take it up with me. Don't take it up with each other in the chat or in the comments if you're watching on the replay. It's that kind of stuff I don't usually like. And if it gets too bad, I usually will delete that kind of stuff. Dove Season's good to see you. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Lazarus, if I didn't catch you before, thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, Joe's not doing so good. And Joe, you know what? Let the guy retire, right? Like, Virginia Bushcrafter, it's good to see you. I get some trolls too. Southern Tier Prepper. I got a few people that that love to give me a hard time of everything from like making fun of me because I'm bald and whatever. That's fine. I started shaving my head because it was thinning so badly in my late 20s, and I'm now in my 50s. So if there was a period of time where that would have hurt my feelings, it's long since passed. I've accepted and embraced my baldness a long time ago. And if that's the best you can throw at me, then keep it coming. Polydactyl Productions, good to see you. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. So if you guys weren't aware, I got next week we got a really fun live stream. We're gonna go off topic a little bit from prepping. We'll see if we can loop it into some prepping too. We'll see if we can make that work. But we're gonna be talking about aliens, UFOs, talking about all kinds of different theories, for both the skeptics and the believers. We're gonna try to present it from all different types of viewpoints, and I've got a great panel lined up for you. Some of them are here with us already. I see Rural 2IC, he's on the panel, and Wayne Becoming Dangerous is on the panel. We got Praxis Prepper is going to be on that panel, and Kentucky Survivalist, who usually pops in here on our Friday night chats. He's usually here on Fridays. He'll be on the panel as well. So it's going to be a good time. There's a rumor, you guys can pass this along. There's a rumor that on the next Friday night's live stream, that there's going to be actually a lizard person. One of us is a lizard person, and we're going to be a full true form reveal live on YouTube next Friday night. So you really don't want to miss that one if you're into UFOs and UAPs and all of the whistleblower stuff that's happened in the last couple of years. If you're interested in Roswell and things like that, we're going to hit on as much of that stuff as we possibly can and try to cover it from as many angles as we can. No, not those kind of aliens. The aliens that like are interdimensional or space aliens. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, and if you don't get Southern Tier Prepper, first of all, for prayers for you for good surgery. If you don't get to watch it live, it will be up. We'll keep it up on the replay. Guns of America Summit on the 17th, 18th. Wayne's going to be there. If anybody is going to be there, hit him up. I will not. The next event that you guys can catch me at, if you want to meet me in person, will be at Georgia Bushcraft in the fall. I was able to make those dates work, so I will be at Georgia Bushcraft with a lot of other like big names in the influencer community, much bigger than me, much bigger than me. I don't want to, I know some of the names because I'm part of like a chat that goes on like behind the scenes. So I know there's some really big names going this year. I don't want to say them because I don't want to spoil the fun for people, and it's not my announcement to make. That's up to them if they want to announce it to their channel or not. But I will tell you, channels that are much bigger than me are going to be there this year, and the teachers just look amazing. We got Bushcraft Kelso's teaching, Craig Cottle. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Usually Mark Merriweather, Vorderbergen does a foraging class. It's going to be cool. So if you're going to Georgia Bushcraft, let me know. I love meeting up with people. We can meet, we can take some pictures, shoot a little video maybe even. But I'll be floating around a lot. I'm not sure which classes I'll be taking yet. I looked at the classes. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to sign up for. And I've taken a lot of the classes too. So I might just take this year and kind of float around and like network with people and that kind of thing. We'll see. Maccabees, good to see you. Hope you're having a good Friday. Utah Mike, thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Pennsylvania Preparedness. Yeah, no worries, Pennsylvania. I know you're a first responder, so your schedule can get a little wacky. No problem there. Appreciate you. Yeah, all that stuff will be up on replay. Michelle J is asking, where is it at? Are you talking about Georgia Bushcraft, or are you talking about the thing that Wayne was talking about, the Gun Owners of America event? All right, I think Tuck, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I try to go back and forth between my screen and the chat screen. So this Sunday, Georgia Bushcraft, it's in, I believe, Watkinsville. It's like right in the center of Georgia. Hey, Steve, it's good to see you. Appreciate you. So this Sunday, I got it edited. I'm just putting the final touches on it. I got a video that I shot with Codename Alice. So, and I think you're gonna wanna watch this on Sunday because it's probably the first and only time that I will be drinking in a video. I'm not a big drinker. I've talked about this before. I drank plenty in my 20s, and now I just kind of If I go out to eat and I have a steak, I'll have a beer with it. If I'm home New Year's Eve, I'll have a little bit of bourbon with my wife, things like that. But I'm just not really a big drinker anymore. But if I'm with family and friends, occasionally I'll have a few more. So Codename Alice and I were filming a video on canning blueberry jam. And she said she wanted to make it a little bit more interesting so that if either of us made a mistake or dropped something, that person had to take a shot. So it got a little interesting the further along we went into the video. So that's coming out on Sunday. Watch for that. I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's probably the only time you're ever going to see me drinking on a YouTube video. Sort of. You have to watch it to see. I had a couple. Appreciate you, Burpee Yoga Uncle. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Savage Airguns, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. Miss Southern Belle, thank you. Just in case I missed anybody, yeah, thank you, everybody. So I did get a couple comments on. You guys have known I've done a lot of knife videos this spring. I've got more knife review videos coming. I still have stuff that I'm sitting on that has to be reviewed. And I've got some knife content videos that are going to be coming out for another channel. So I will link that when I can, and that's all I can say about it for now. Until it's official, it's not official, right? So when it's available and I can link it, I will link it. But I got a couple comments on some that I just wanted to respond to here on the live stream. Sorry, a little dust. That, I've shown some very affordable knives, what we in the knife community would call budget knives, in the $20 range, and they're really good knives. K-Bar Dozer is one that comes to mind. The Ontario Rat 2 is another one that's very affordable, comes to mind. But I also show some higher end knives that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I got a few comments, at least 3, that were just kind of curious, like, why would a knife cost so much money? And the reason is that it really boils down to 3 things. The blade material, the steel that's used in the blade, the handle material, and then what the process was that's used to make them, right? So if you have something like a K-Bar Dozer, which is a really good knife, and I've got it and I carry it and I use it. It's actually the one I usually throw in my suitcase when I'm traveling, the one that goes under the plane. That way, if it gets stolen, it's an affordable knife. I can replace it, but it's a really good, reliable knife. Those are mass produced by machines really, really fast. Okay, so how many human hands are actually touching it? Probably not too many. And that's because that's just the process that's used for that. And the steel that's used for that, it's not a bad steel, but it's very affordable. And the handle materials are very affordable as well. So that's why that one you can get for like under $25 usually. Now I brought 2 high-end knives with me right now to show you, and I'll explain the difference. So this here, actually I'll show you the sheath too. So it's got a little Kydex sheath. This is the chickpea from Knives by Nuge. Now I've shown you in a couple of videos some of Thomas Nuge's knives. Met him a couple times, both at Georgia Bushcraft and at Blade Show. And this is a very high-end knife, and it's handmade by a person. And so it's kind of like a work of art too, but it's a functional work of art. It's a very functional tool. It's Nitro V steel. And I believe this handle is micarta, and he also does wood handles too, like really nice wood handles. And this has a really nice feel to it too, right? So, and the sheath is really nice, nice Kydex sheath. So this one, I don't remember the exact price, but I know off the top of my head, I paid over $100 for it for sure. I don't remember the exact price. If you go to his website, it'll tell you. And it's just a different quality of knife, right? So if you say, well, I can do the same thing with a $5 gas station knife. Yeah, for most people, if you're just cutting open Amazon boxes, that's probably all you need for your entire life. But if you're going to rely on something for survival or bushcraft, you might want to go a little bit higher on that, right? And it's not to say that like you have to have a $500 knife. No, I don't think most people do. But you know, and there's also like collectors. Like I like knives, so I will pay more for a knife than somebody who's just like, I just need something to cut and open an Amazon box. And there's a market for them there's an aftermarket for these things too, right? So if I wanted to or needed to, I could go on my aftermarket pages, which I know of. Like one of them is Everyday Carry on Facebook, and I could sell this or trade this with somebody else, and it'll pretty much retain its value as long as I've kept it in pretty good condition. And even some knives, even if they're beat up, if they're rare or there's only been so many produced, even if they've been beat up, sometimes they can be valued even more later on, right? So you have to think of it a little bit differently. Let me show you another one. So this is, I'm gonna be doing some videos with this one. This is the LT Wright Genesis. I know this is one of Lee's favorite knives. This is a freaking amazing knife. And I sent it back to them to get the Kydex sheath. So I'll do a whole video about that. Like if you want to switch out the leather sheath for Kydex sheath, they will do that for you. And so I sent it, they responded back quickly and I got it back and it came out awesome. I mean, and this Kydex sheath actually has, you can tighten the retention on it. So like right now, it'll pop out pretty easy. If I tighten this up by just sliding that down, I can't knock that out. It's like a security feature. So if you're moving around a lot and you don't want your knife to come out, and then if I needed to get it out, it's just a simple flip of that switch. And this knife is the same knife that a lot of the contestants on Alone have used because it's very reliable. It's this is probably going to be going forward my new Bushcraft knife, the one that I take with me when I'm doing my walkabouts, my solo camping. This is going to be, and I have two of these actually. I have the Carly Fairchild model, which I put away because I don't want to ding that one up. And this is going to be my working model that I actually use. Lee, I know you like this knife as well. So do you need one of these? Yeah, no. Do you need one of these? It just depends. It just depends. If you love knives, you probably want one of those, right? Because it's a phenomenal knife. It's one of the best survival knives available on the market. Great company, great brand, handmade, great materials. And so it just, you know, it's like comparing Hey Dudes to Nikes, right? To Nike Air Jordans. And I know some people are gonna be like, well, I hate Nikes. You're missing the point. Hey Dudes are great. I have a pair of Hey Dudes that I love. They're very comfortable, you know, but are they the same quality as Nike Air Jordans? No, they're not. And does everybody need Nike Air Jordans? No. But some people want Nike Air Jordans. A Hyundai is not the same as a Porsche, right? You know, in a Hyundai will get you where you want to go, right? But it's not the same as a Porsche, and you can't really compare them. So you can't compare a $5 gas station knife to a $500 Medford Praetorian, right? Or actually, no, those are higher than 500. You just can't. So I hope that answers the question. I'm not trying to like shame anybody. Like there's nothing wrong with a $20 knife. I've got tons of them and I use them and they function and they're great. But it's also okay for somebody to want a higher end knife, and some of those are gonna cost more money, okay? And it's based on the materials of the steel, the materials of the handle, and the and the craftsmanship that went into it, like how much human time was actually spent on it versus running it through a machine, okay? I hope that answers the question. All right, I see a lot of chat flowing. Let me check your chat here. I gotta scroll way back. All right, let's see. Yeah, how's your weather there? I know Steve gets great weather in out there in occupied behind enemy territory in California, but I tell you, we're getting destroyed here. I can't even film outside right now. That's how bad it is. You guys are probably wondering like, well, why haven't you done any videos out in the woods? Because the phone is getting overheated. That's why. It's the heat and the humidity is so bad here right now that it's almost impossible for me to film outside. I'm gonna try again tomorrow. I have some stuff that I wanna film for you outside, but it's really, really hard because the phones get overheated after only like a couple minutes of use. And I'm also not getting in my outside time because the weather is so garbage. Like if it's not like 90% humidity, 100 degrees, then it's like thunder showers. So I'm finding like I'm getting a little bit moody and I need some outside time. So tomorrow I'm going to make myself get some outside time. We'll try to film. I don't know how it's going to go. If I can film some footage for you, I will. But you got the canning video coming on Sunday. We got the live stream for the UFOs coming next Friday. But yeah, our weather, to be frank, our weather sucks right now. So Wayne, sounds like you've got some good moonshine out there your way. White lightning, right? So do you like it with when they put like apples in it and stuff like that, or do you just like it plain? Yeah, I mean, so Savage, I've not lost a lot of knives. I'm sure I've lost a couple, like cheap ones, like you said. But I've recently lost my favorite EDC flashlight. So I did have a backup, thankfully, because as preppers we say, 1 is none, 2 is 1. So I had a backup for it. But at Blade Show, I lost my favorite EDC flashlight, and I was pretty bummed out about that. But as Bushcraft Kelso said to me, like, think of it this way, maybe you started some young kid's EDC journey. And I said, all right, I'll go with that. And that'll kind of like, it's a good reframe for me. Maybe it hurt a little bit less if some little kid found it, Triple digit days in Texas, man. Oh, yeah, we're into the dog days now. It's going to be bad. Yeah, K-Bar Doja is a good one. You're right. The shape of the bug out is exactly the same. It's kind of funny that they're so close. The materials are different though. Spydercos are fantastic. I've got a few of those. Coffee First Then Speaks. Good to see you. No worries. No worries. Yeah, I know they're YouTube with the notifications. I know. Folks, if you're enjoying this video at all, please consider giving me a thumbs up. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's a good example there too, Burpee Yoga Uncle, right? So you can have cheap steak or you can have really, really good steak. And I'm not going to turn away a cheap steak. I'm still going to eat it, right? It's still good. But if you've ever had like $100 filet that's cooked by a 5-star chef, it's a next world experience. And I hope everybody can do that at some point. I've only, I can't afford to do that all the time, but a few times in my life, I've had one of those really nice fillets cooked by a 5-star restaurant, and man, it'll blow your hair back. If I had hair, it'd blow my hair back. Now I'm lucky. I'm married to a chef, and she can take a steak that's like medium medium cut, and she can make it taste like a fillet because she's so good and she knows how to cook it just perfectly, medium rare with some garlic butter, man. So good. So good. My wife makes steak so good, and she's a vegetarian. Like, that's the crazy thing, right? So I'm an omnivore, she's a vegetarian, but she will, because she loves me, she will make steak for me, and man, does she do it good. High-end steak is the bomb. Same thing with bourbons, right? Like cheap bourbon and high-end bourbon taste very different, right? So, is it okay to drink cheap bourbon? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got some Jim Beam in here somewhere, and it's fine. For Jim Beam, I might like flavor it with something, add a little more flavor to it, but you can drink it straight or with ice or whatever. Have you ever had Woodford Reserve or Knob Creek? You can't compare them, right? Like, it's not the same thing. So you can't compare a $5 gas station knife with a Medford Praetorian. They're not the same things. Yeah, we all collect something, don't we? Right? Like we all collect something. We're all guilty of that. And yeah, Wayne's right. You don't know until you have used a really high quality knife what the difference is. Just as an example. So this Genesis, before we went live, I was like, let me just test this out because I haven't really done too much work with it yet. And I did a little shave on my arm hair, and the hairs were like popping right off like it was a razor. I'll show you. I got, actually, if I make it out, if I can get footage tomorrow, this is what I'm going to be filming, is some stuff with the Genesis. It is the Scandi grind, yes. And the other thing I like about this Genesis too is the spine is a true 90-degree spine, right? So like this spine is so sharp that I've actually like nicked my finger with it. So it's a true 90-degree spine, whereas most knives, it's not, it's like a rounded 90-degree. Now that may be good or bad. If you like to put your thumb on the back of your knife a lot, then maybe you don't want that. But you can throw sparks with that off a ferro rod much easier. I can shave wood with that. I can shave some tree bark with that. So it's just different, different preferences, that's all. But yeah, if you've got your Genesis, if you've got one of these, take it out and just like run your finger very lightly on that back spine. It is sharp. I'll say this, the back, that 90-degree spine is probably sharper than other people's gas station knives that they're saying are the same thing. They're not the same thing, but it's okay. If you're just cutting open Amazon boxes, it's fine. I've got, those $5 gas station knives staged around the house as well. In fact, do I have one in here? I don't have one in here, but I know I've got one like a few feet away. And that's what I open my boxes with. Let's see. I was at a knife store a few hours ago, and yes, good knives cost more. Exactly. Yep. Sorry, it's jumping around a little bit. I got to figure out, Steve has a way of like slowing down the chat, and I don't know how to do that. I just keep a sharp metal thing to do daily stuff. I have nicer stuff though. Just keep more mint and beat up on, just keep more mint and beat up on my cheap stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why I use those little gas station knives for opening Amazon boxes I don't care if it gets dulled down or gummed up with residue or whatever. Work tough gear blades, okay. Condor bush lure at about $75. Yep. Also, if you're looking for a good bushcraft knife that's under $100, Gerber Strong Arm is pretty decent, and Gerber Prodigy is pretty decent as well. And you can get both of those well under $100. The K-Bar TDI is a good one, yep. It's 90 degrees in Ohio with humidity that is miserable, yes. Heat wave, yep. Raining every day here, pretty much, yep. You pay for what you get, but do you have to oil these knives? Okay, so that's a great question, Miss Southern Belle. So stainless steel, you don't have to do too much maintenance with because it's very highly corrosive resistant. High carbon steels, you do want to monitor those. Like they can pick up some rust over time. And so what I like to use is mineral oil. I give them a little coat of mineral oil once or twice a year. And that will give them some pretty good protection. The reason I like mineral oil is because it's food safe too. So if I want to cut something to eat, like while I'm foraging or whatever, if I'm camping and I want to cut my steak with it or whatever, my knives are fine for that because I use mineral oil. Now, if you use other oils that are not, that are toxic or not food safe or whatever, then you got to be careful, and you probably wouldn't want to use that knife for food, okay? Heat and humidity almost killed you today. Yeah, it's been bad here too, man. Is there a certain place you store your knives to keep the oils good, and do you keep the light off of them and away from moisture? So it depends. I have some knives that I would say are like my safe queens, that they're probably never going to get used. They're just like, I wanted them for my collection, or they're special because they were given to me by somebody. And so those, most of the time they're staying in their original boxes, and they're kind of kept away from sunlight in my bedroom, and periodically I'll take them out and just check them for rust, and make sure I do a little mineral oil if it's a high carbon steel, things like that. For the types of knives that I keep in my vehicle that are like my get home bag, that kind of thing, or my vehicle knife, extraction knife, safety knife, whatever, to like cut my seatbelt. I prefer stainless steel for those because of it's going to stay outside in high humidity and poor elements. So for knives that I keep outside, I prefer stainless steel. How do I sharpen and care for your knives? Okay, so the sharpening system that I have that's worked really good for me is the tumbler. I've done some videos on that. You can find that if you look up Prepping with Sarge tumbler. That's worked really, really well for me. And when I'm out in the field, when I'm hiking, I carry the Wazoo survival gear Whetstone. And you can do really good touch-up work with that. But if I really want to get like a good near factory edge, I'm going to bust out the tumbler first, and then I'm going to strop it. So the tumbler system will come with a strop, and that's going to get it pretty close to factory. A lot of these companies, especially if you spend extra money on like a higher end knife, a lot of them you can send them back to them and they'll sharpen it for you. You're probably just going to pay for shipping. I look like a good dad. Well, thank you. So turns out I actually have no bio kids of my own. I have a stepdaughter, and I'm a pet dad. But so I guess that makes me a sociopath. According to JD Vance, I'm a sociopath. But thank you, I appreciate that. I'm a godfather. I have several godchildren, and I've that's a big honor. And so I grew up Irish Catholic, and in the Catholic world, you being chosen to be a godfather is a very, very high honor. It means that you are not only the spiritual guide for that child, but you are also, if something happens to those parents, you have to be willing to step up and possibly even adopt those kids. So I've had 4, let me think, wait a minute, I gotta count them. I've got four godchildren. 2 of them are now adults, so I'm not responsible for them. And yeah, it's a big thing for me. I really appreciate that. So Virginia Bushcraft says he cleans his knives after each outing, wash them in liquid detergent, let them dry, edge up, and oil it each time. Yep, good advice there. Quit being so descriptive about the steak. You're making me hungry. Okay. Is there any clothing a knife cannot go through? Kevlar? Would probably have a hard time with Kevlar. Other than that, they'll go through leather and everything else. So kitchen knives are treated a little bit differently. So my wife, being a chef, has her own knives, which I'm not allowed to touch. And they're very nice. They're very expensive. They are very, very sharp. And she has her own sharpeners that she uses. So Case makes fantastic knives. Southern Tier Prepper, love them. Good company. Okay, so Steve said to slow down the chat. It says when you first set up the live, it gives you the option, but that's on laptop, never done on the phone. Okay, thank you. Do I have a special place to put knives away? Well, I have a gun safe, but I don't have any kids in the house, so no. So the answer to that is no, my knives are not usually locked up. But if you had little kids in the house, then yeah, I can understand why you might do that. You're welcome. Those are great questions. Thank you, Miss Southern Belle. If I missed anybody's comments or questions, I apologize. It's jumping really fast on me. Even slice-proof clothing can fail to straight, hard stabs. Yeah. There is some body armors that are stab resistant. I think level 3+ should be stab resistant. I actually have some Kevlar gloves from when I was doing the martial arts and like training with karambits. I have some Kevlar gloves that I just kind of put them away because I'm not doing the martial arts stuff anymore. If I cut a branch, what knife would I use? Pretty much anything can, will be fine for that. If you're using, if it's thicker, then you're gonna want some kind of a fixed blade, full tang fixed blade for like more heavier bushcraft tasks. Ed Benoit, especially if that kid's name is Chucky. Thumb protectors are good. I cut myself. I'll be honest with you guys. I cut myself when I'm working with my knives. I cut myself frequently. It's occupational hazard. If you're ADD like me and you play with knives, there's a pretty good chance you're going to cut yourself at some point. Isn't getting degloved a concern? I mean, if you're training with karambits, hi, Mr. Kitty. You want to come up and say hi? You want to say hi to everybody? Let's see if he'll let me. Hi. So this is my cat, Mr. Kitty. He is an old man now. In human years, he's the equivalent of 80. He's not going to stay long. I can tell he's wanting to get down. But he's just going to say hi real quick. He's been with us. He was a stray that Mrs. Sarge adopted, and he's been with us since. So, but he is in the end stages of his life cycle. So he's got a lot of arthritis, and we just try to make him comfortable. He sleeps a lot of the day, but he still plays a little bit, and he'll purr. He's eating and doing all those other cat things that cat does. Just starting to notice, like when you pick him up, his bones will get a little creaky, and he's a little slower to move. He can't jump as good as he used to and that kind of thing. And he's kind of stiff when he first starts moving after he's been sleeping. So he's showing his age, and he just shed all over me, but that's okay. That's cat love, right? So I think that's the first time you guys have seen him. He doesn't usually come by when I'm streaming. So what was I talking about? Karambits. You can get trainers, which I recommend if you're learning how to play around with karambits or playing around with butterfly knives. Then I would get trainers. The trainers are dull. They don't have a sharp edge until you get really, really confident. And then you can, if you feel confident enough and you want to try it with the edges, that's up to you. Make sure you have things like liquid Band-Aid and gauze and zip stitch and things like that, because you can cut yourself, and a karambit especially can do a lot of damage because it's a curved blade, so it has this like dig and rip kind of action to it, so you can definitely do a lot of damage with those. You got to be careful if you're messing around with those. Do you name your knives? No, but I do name a couple of my guns. My main carry gun is Mr. G-Lock. Yeah, so you can use, that's in a pinch, you can hone your knives to get a little bit of sharpness back. The bottom of a ceramic actually can do that. So a ceramic coffee cup can do that. And if you guys have the Wazoo Spark, that ceramic striker piece, you can use that actually to hone a blade as well. It looks like he's tired of your crap. Are you talking about Mr. Kitty? Yeah, he was ready to get down. Yeah, he's a good cat. He's a good cat. He's a good boy. A cat sounds out like I feel. I hear that. I'm creaky too. So we haven't done any of the CBD oils with him or anything like that. We may come to that. He gets an injection twice a month of I think Silencia is what it's called. We have to take him in for an appointment for that, and he gets an injection twice a month to help with his arthritis. I think it's called Silencia. Your butterfly knives, Bali songs, same thing. Yeah. What knife do you carry? What knife that you carry makes you feel good? So my everyday carry knife, I switch it out once a year. Usually at Christmas time, I will get a new one. This year, I've been carrying the Holtzman Gorilla Survival Venture Point. It's very fidget friendly. You can flick it, and it's D2 steel, which is decent. D2 steel is tool steel, so it's got a high hardness factor and holds an edge for a really long time. The only downside with D2 steel is some people feel like it's kind of a pain to sharpen, but it holds an edge for so long that you have that trade-off. I don't know what my 2025 carry is going to be yet. I have not decided. Open to suggestions. Yeah, the meds get expensive, don't they, Lee? They do. Yeah, they're like our kids. That's it, right? So, I'm a pet parent. I'm a sociopathic pet parent, right? Leatherman Wave is a very good multi-tool. All right. All right, couple more things. What are we doing on time? Okay, a couple more things I wanted to go through. So I think it's interesting. I'm just going to give commentary on this. And again, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I really don't. I'm here to teach prepping to anybody who's here to learn it. But we do sometimes have to talk about politics because it plays into what's coming. And I do think we're going to be looking at a lot of civil unrest around the time of the election and after the election. And I hope you're preparing for that. I hope we've talked about this. You can go back and check some of my live streams. We're going to be talking about it some more. So you can stay tuned, but ignoring the problem and thinking, especially if you work or live in the city, is probably a bad idea. There's probably civil unrest coming, okay? And I've been right about a lot of the stuff that I've told you. Go back and watch my previous live streams, right? So if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. If your city is on fire and you're in panic mode because you didn't think ahead, I'm sorry. You've got time now to prepare. So I do think this is interesting that we have, at least for the first time in modern history, I don't know if this has ever happened in the history of the United States, the first time in modern history, we have a candidate who's nominated by a party who was not elected by the people, the voters. Kamala Harris is apparently going to be, if it hasn't happened today already, is going to be nominated as the Democratic candidate for the party. We never had a primary where she was on the ballot. She was on the party ballot with Biden, but people vote for the top of the ticket, not for the vice president, right? So this is interesting, folks, and it's going to create some really interesting, if she wins. And I would say that the election now is a lot closer than it was 3 weeks ago when Joe was the candidate. If she wins, then you are going to see some serious legal challenges, and they're valid because the people didn't get a chance to vote on their candidate. So that's, from a historical perspective, is really, really interesting and a little bit frightening. But when I bring this up to people, everybody seems apathetic about it. Just, hey, have you seen this latest TikTok video? Have you watched The Bachelorette? Have you watched The Real Housewives of Nashville? Like, hey, red wine's on sale this week. Hey, my doctor didn't fill my Xanax. Like, people are so numbed out and apathetic that they don't realize what this means, that they didn't choose a candidate. Like, am I in Bizarro world? Am I the only person that thinks this is weird? Right? I mean, now, granted, had they done this, maybe she still would have been the person. Probably still would have been their candidate. But it didn't happen. And I don't get why nobody else is upset about that. Am I in Bizarro world? Like, or are people really that apathetic? That you just don't care if you get to vote or not? Let the party choose for me. Make it make sense for me, fam. Comments, right? Let me know. Make it make sense. Am I blowing this out of proportion? It's not that big of a deal, Sarge. Here, watch a TikTok video. Come on, y'all. I don't know. Maybe I care too much. I don't know. Help me make it make sense. I mean, I'm begging my audience. Help me make it make sense. One person. A couple more things on this, then I'll get to your comments, and then we're gonna call it a night. And I'm gonna let you guys have a great weekend with your family. Go out, I'm not gonna keep you here all night. People see also here's this, found this interesting too. TikTok, the creators on TikTok. Now I'm not on TikTok. You guys know I've told you why I'm not on TikTok before. And if they sell it to an American company and the standards are improved, I will probably open up a TikTok account. But based on what I know about what's being done with your information there and what's been told to me by people who I know and trust in the intelligence community, I am not on TikTok. And I've warned my friends and they just do the same thing. Have you seen this video? Did you know Xanax was on sale? I don't get it. I don't think I think like most people. I'm a lizard person. There it is. I'm a lizard person, confirmed. So you don't have to wait till next week. I'm the lizard person because I'm the only one that seems to have a problem with this stuff. Anyways, TikTok, creators on TikTok are making videos in favor of Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris actually has appeared in some of these videos with some famous TikTok creators. The irony of this is everybody seems to have forgotten is that she helped Joe Biden to ban TikTok. It gets banned next year unless they sell it to an American company. But everybody seems to have forgotten about that. We have short memories, don't we? So if you're a TikTok creator, wouldn't that be a concern to you? If you make your money that way, wouldn't that be a concern to you? Or not? Maybe you don't care. Hey, red wine's on sale. Go watch The Bachelorette. You'll feel better. The last thing I want to say, the real estate freeze. So her and Joe were saying they're going to stop landlords from being able to raise rents above 5%. This is what we call a campaign promise. Just like they promised they were going to waive your student loans to win your vote. Even though every lawyer in the country was saying that you're not going to be able to do that, it's not legally possible for you as the president to just eliminate people's student loans. You don't have the right to do that. So Joe Biden knew that, but he used it as a campaign promise to get people to vote for him. And now they're going to do it with this rent thing. So they're saying that they're going to be able to freeze your rent at no more than 5% increase a year. Well, they don't have the right to do that. It's not legal. There's nothing, they don't have the right to do that. It would have to, and they can try, but it's going to get shot down just like the student loan thing. So beware of empty campaign promises. You need to educate yourself more on what is and what isn't legal and why politicians will use campaign promises to try to win you over. Now, if she's your candidate, that's fine. Like I said at the beginning, I don't care. Vote for who you think is the best person, right? If that's her, then vote for her. But I want you to be aware of manipulation and lies, right? And I haven't been following Trump's platform as much. So I don't know what he's promising. If I did, I would try to come up with an example of that. But they'll make we're gonna ban another one. We're gonna ban AR-15s. We're gonna go door to door and take AR-15s. No, you're not. It's not going to pass. You don't have enough votes for it. And even if you did, it's going to go to the Supreme Court and it's going to get shot down. So you know that. And also you know that most of the sheriffs in the country have said they're not going to comply with that because it's too dangerous. They're not going to go door to door and try to take people's AR-15s. So why are you promising that to people? This is manipulation. This is voter manipulation. And you just and both sides do this. I'm not, I know right now it sounds like I'm picking on Kamala. Both sides do this. You need to know how to read a campaign promise and know what they literally can and can't do. A president is not a dictator. They're not a tyrant. Well, they're not supposed to be a dictator or a tyrant. They're not an emperor. They can't just arbitrarily say this is illegal. This is how much your rent can be increased. Your student loans are no longer, you don't have to pay them anyway. They don't have the ability or authority to do that, but they'll promise you and make you think that they do. It's not how it works, folks. All right, let's check your chat one more time. We're gonna call it a night. I want you guys to get out there and do something fun with your family. Hug your family. I want you to know also how much I appreciate everybody in the audience. You guys are awesome. I really look forward to these Friday nights to be able to connect with you all. It means the world to me. I know we're not always going to agree. That's okay. I appreciate I have many friends that I don't have the same politics with, and my life is richer for it. They challenge me, and I challenge them. So I welcome commentary, but let's be respectful to each other with it. Make your points. Don't just say you're stupid. I assure you, I know I'm not stupid. I have a graduate degree, and I've had an IQ test, and I'm not stupid. So you're bald. Yeah, I know I'm bald. Get better. You know, throw a better insult at me that might hurt me. You know, you know, you can disagree with me, but like, give me good reasons why I'm wrong. That's what I'm asking you to do, right? And Homestead Engineering did a great example of that last week when he made a comment like, people aren't going to care that this happened, and turns out I was wrong. They were right. So that's how you do it. All right, let's check your chat one more time, folks. Man, I hope we don't see martial law, but that wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. It depends on how bad things get with the civil unrest. We need to work on the Karen voice. All right, I'll practice. I'll practice. All right, if I missed something, guys, I'm sorry. I do my best here. I am worried about terrorism too, Lee. I think that we've got our guard down in a lot of areas. I'm very worried about that as well. Yeah, Savage. So she's getting the nomination. We know that it's happening, or it already happened. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you. I don't know if there'll be. I hope not any more attempts on anybody. Let's just say attempts to try to hurt people. I hope not. Coffee first, then speak says, I hate saying it, she's going to win. Right now, if the election was today, I think she might. They would make sure of it. Let's see. Preaching to the choir here. Yeah, I know, but you never know. I mean, I think that, I don't know. I don't know. See, I'm not a conservative, and I'm not a progressive, Democrat, liberal, MAGA, whatever. I see myself as an independent. There's issues where I am pretty liberal about, such as healthcare. I've talked about this before. And there's issues where I'm pretty conservative, such as Second Amendment rights, things like that. So I consider myself to be a moderate, and there's really not a good label for me. So I don't know. I assume my audience is a mix of everything, but I don't know. Savage, that was what I thought. Savage said Kamala is universally hated by both parties in my state. Democrats are not happy about Kamala. If you had asked me a couple weeks ago, I would have said I don't think she can win, and now I'm not so sure. I will work on the Karen voice. It definitely makes me lose faith in the election process. I promise you I will still vote, and I want you to still vote as well. But when we have stuff where we don't have a primary, it really rubs me the wrong way. This video will get banned for hate speech. I hope not. I hope not. I think I really do try to make this as safe of a place as I can for people, to have different opinions and stuff like that. And we don't tolerate any racism or sexism here, so I hope it doesn't get banned, but I guess I have no control of that. Yeah, Lee, TikTok has some serious security concerns. Now, if it gets sold to the United States, there's only like a handful of people or a handful of companies that could buy it, really, because it's going to be very pricey. Then I will, and they fix that stuff, then I will probably open a TikTok account, but definitely not until then. Pentucky, good to see you. Hope you're having a good night. Appreciate you. Yeah, for a lot of politicians, their God is power and money. There are a couple good ones. I've met some good ones. Yeah, freeze my property taxes. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I am worried about depending on who gets elected, I'm worried about the world conflicts and how much more we're going to continue to get drawn into these proxy wars that are going on. I I think we should support our allies, right? I do agree with that. But where's, how much are we spending versus Europe, right? I think that's a fair question. You should be able to ask that question and not be labeled as like, I gotta work on my Karen voice. You don't support Ukraine. No, I do. I actually want Ukraine to win the war and be independent. I actually do. But I want Europe to take on a bigger role in supporting that. That war, to be honest with you, is probably going to go on for 100 years. And we cannot fund it for 100 years. Right? Does anybody in the audience think that we can fund the Ukraine war for 100 years? Let me know. Put it in chat. Put it in comments. There's corruption on both sides. Yep. There's a lot of corruption on both sides. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video or you hate me, thumbs up, thumbs down. Either way, I'm good with it. Appreciate you. I just appreciate you watching and giving it a chance. See if I missed anything else. I think we're getting near the bottom of it. America is another empire that... love and life, I think we're at risk of that. I think hard days are ahead. Yeah, 100 years. That's my prediction. Is this war will go on for the rest of my life. I won't be here in 100 years, but this war is going to go on for the rest of my life. There might be breaks in it. But this war is not going to end anytime soon. In fact, it's been at basically a stalemate for 2 years now. Yeah, why are we the police force for most of the world? And because we take that role, right? Like we can say, okay, well, we're trying to preserve different types of democracy around the world. Probably that's true. Sometimes we have other reasons too. But when we become the police force for so many other nations, then we also build a lot of enemies and it puts the United States at risk. We are probably we're probably at the highest level of risk in terms of like countries wanting to hit us now as like right before 9/11. Think about that, right? And the longer we stay involved in proxy wars, the higher that risk will continue to go. And eventually we will get hit, right? We'll have some other 9/11 type incident. And I live on the coast, so this sucks, right? I've talked about this before. My city would be a top tier target because we have an Air Force base. We have a Navy weapons depot. We have a port. We have several strategic targets here in my city. So yeah, I'm concerned. The rare earth minerals is what the next big war is going to be over. The stuff that's needed to make chips, because, and here's why. Let's end with this. Everything that we do now and everything that we're going to be building in the next 30 years is reliant on those rare earth metals to make all of our computer chips that runs everything in your house now, all your new vehicles. We're probably the biggest consumer in the world for those things. If Taiwan gets attacked by China, and that's probably going to happen, we are getting involved. And that's probably going to be what kicks off World War III. And we can all just pray that it doesn't become nuclear, that it stays conventional. That's the fear. That's the fear. And it's all, democracy. Yeah, sure. We want to support those things. But a lot of times there's other motives too. And in this case, it's going to be rare access to chips and access to rare earth minerals. And then future wars are going to be fought over water. That's coming too, fresh water. You can laugh, you can scoff at that, but I want you to remember that you heard it here first, because I've got a pretty good track record for telling you what's coming. And it's not that I have a magic crystal ball. I have some sources, but they're probably not better than anybody else that's got a YouTube channel. You know, I know some people that work in intelligence and that kind of thing, and sometimes they'll tell you a little bit, sometimes they can't tell you anything. But there are water wars coming too. That's going to happen. All right, folks, enough talk about wars and screwed up politics and an economy that's crashing again. Thank you very much. Let's have a good weekend, folks. Let's have a good weekend. You know, there's always things to be grateful for. I am so blessed with a wonderful family. My wife is amazing. My cat is amazing. I am a crazy cat dad. And as bad as things may look outside my house, I have it pretty good right now in my house. I have an awesome audience that some of you I've met in person and I'm friends with. And I love you all, I respect you all, and I look forward to chatting with you all every Friday night. So I hope you have things in your life too that you're grateful for, because gratitude is one of those things that gets us through tough times. Remember that. That's important. Gratitude is one of the things that functions as an antidepressant. And remember, I work in the mental health field, right? There are certain things that you can do in your life that are actually better at fighting depression than an antidepressant pill. And gratitude is one of those things that's very important. Getting outside is another one. And I'm going to make myself get outside tomorrow and get some fresh air and some sunshine, even though the weather sucks. Maybe you should do that too. All right? Folks, I appreciate you so much. I hope you have an awesome weekend. Thank you, everybody. Pirate Stackers, good to see you, brother. Everybody, Big Valley Living, thank you for popping in. Appreciate everybody. Have a great weekend. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.